Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. So we are back with a foundation review and this is going to be on the Covergirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation. I have been using this product for quite some time and it's been out for about almost a year now, I believe, and I am so excited to tell you guys what I think of it. It is the foundation that I'm wearing right now. Look at the skin. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up this video for more foundation reviews because we got lots to go through. So here we are with the latest Covergirl launch, which is their fabulous foundation that was talked about so much when it first came out. It is the True Blend Matte Made Foundation, which comes in 40 shades. 40 shades of foundation at the drugstore is a huge deal. For you to find a shade, if you are my complexion and darker, it is a little bit difficult, and also undertones can get a little bit crazy. So I was extremely impressed when I heard that Covergirl came out with 40 different shades right off the bat, different undertones. Oh my gosh, I'm so impressed just by that. And I know that they went through a rebranding process, I believe last year. They are cruelty free. I am very intrigued with the brand. I definitely want to try out more products. So I was super excited to try out complexion products, which is one of my favorite products to try out within the makeup range. I'm gonna go ahead and cut straight to the demo so you guys can go ahead and see the application process, how it looks on the skin when I apply my concealer. I did a little bit of powder so you guys can see what it looks like when I powder it down, and then I will be right back with some more details on this guy. So I've already done my skincare, which is very important before you guys do makeup. Don't skip that part. And now I'm going to go ahead and prime. With this foundation, I definitely have to prime with something hydrating. You guys know that in the wintertime, my skin gets very dry. I'm just going to be using the First Light Priming Filter from Becca, which is one of my favorites for using with any like matte foundations. I say that all the time, but it's true. It just hydrates my skin really well. I do know that Covergirl has a bunch of different primers, but I don't have any of the primers that is more hydrating. I have an illuminating one and a color correcting one, but right now for this foundation, I need something that's gonna really boost up and plump the skin. And now we have the foundation. I'm not going to color correct so you guys can see the full effect of this foundation. If I can't see any of that ashiness going on, it's pretty good. So I have my shade in T30, which is called Warm Honey, and it is a really good matte. I'm gonna do about 2 pumps. It does dispense quite a lot of product right there, and I'm gonna be using a sponge for this foundation. So I'm gonna go ahead and dot that all over the face. And this has a nice creamy consistency. It's not thick. It doesn't feel dry when you're actually touching the product. It has a really nice, smooth, creamy consistency, which I like, and it tells me that the foundation is gonna blend out really well. I don't like when foundations are super thick and heavy. I just don't like that. Even full coverage foundations, they don't have to feel heavy, and this one doesn't. It actually feels nice and creamy. And this is a sponge from Morphe. Look at the color. Okay, this color has me shook from the drugstore. It's really hard for me to find a foundation from the drugstore that has a color spot on that I don't have to mix 2 shades together. So they just did a fabulous job. I mean, come on, 40 shades to select from. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy from the drugstore. You really don't see that often. Without any color correcting, no concealer, just the foundation. And I think it looks absolutely beautiful. It's so natural, and with this sponge I do get more of a medium coverage, I want to say. If I went in with a brush, like a dense brush, so I have one right here to show you guys, like something like this, it would definitely give me more of a full coverage right off the bat. But I like to kind of work my product in to ensure that it looks really seamless and more on the natural side, I want to say. But this looks absolutely beautiful and it feels really comfortable on the skin. It's not heavy or anything like that. And I'm going to go in with a second pump just to show you guys how this foundation builds up really nicely for those of you who want a little bit more coverage. Normally, if I do want coverage, I just go in the areas where I might have a little redness or a little discoloration, and then just blending that out. And it just layers so nicely. Like, look how easily this is blending. The undertone is amazing. I love the undertone of this foundation. It just matches me to the T. Has a beautiful yellow undertone without it being like too yellow, like sick yellow. Here's the foundation all over my skin, and you guys saw how seamless that blended. Like, it looks really, really good on the skin. It gives me really amazing coverage without it feeling heavy or looking heavy. This is one of those foundations that they're really good high coverage, but actually looks quite skin-like in my opinion. It doesn't look heavy whatsoever, and it doesn't feel heavy. Even when I have my close-up mirror over here and I look at it, my skin still looks like skin. Look at this. Absolutely perfect. So I'm going to apply a little bit of concealer on top of it and powder just to show you guys how everything layers on top of this foundation. I'm using my Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Sand, and this is not too light. Once I blend it out right over that, and you guys will see that the concealer goes over the foundation really nicely. And I've used a bunch of different concealers on top of this foundation, and I've had no issues with that. So then to go ahead and set my under eye area, I'm taking the Born This Way powder. This is the ethereal powder, and this is the original translucent shade. I'm going to grab that with my sponge and just go ahead and set my concealer. And then with this particular foundation, I do like to go over it with some powder. Nothing too heavy. I just grab a nice big fluffy brush like this one here. This is from Morphe, and I grabbed a little bit of that powder right on the brush. So I'm just gonna swirl that onto the cap and get that powder all over the brush, and just kind of distribute it all over the brush. Tap off the excess. Oh my god, I have powder everywhere. And then I go ahead and set my foundation just like that. So I don't like to put too much powder on top of this foundation just because it has such a beautiful natural finish, and it already dries down to a comfortable matte. I don't want it to be super matte. So there we have the foundation with my concealer on and my powder on top of it, and you guys can see how beautiful my skin looks. It definitely looks more on the matte side, but it's not dry. It's still really comfortable. It's still really skin-like, not heavy on the skin whatsoever. And you saw how I distributed that powder. Very small amount of powder. You guys saw this in action. I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of my makeup, and I will be back. So this foundation blends out really well. I have no issues. I have used a brush with this foundation, but I find a beauty blender just blends it out a little bit more seamless and makes it more one with my skin. This is definitely a full coverage foundation, but because I'm using a damp sponge, it shears it out a little bit more. So I get more of a medium coverage rather than with a brush, which would be full coverage. This foundation, I believe, retails for around $11 to $12. There's different prices, some on Amazon, some at Walmart. I always go to Walmart because they always have the cheapest prices. It is very affordable. Like for the drugstore, it's very affordable. I know that the drugstore makeup, the prices are going sky high, like especially complexion products. They're getting so expensive. I'm talking like $16 to $20. What? So a lot of people are, you know, going to high end because they just had a little bit more and they can afford a MAC foundation. But this still is within the true drugstore price range, which I can appreciate. Like I said, there are 40 amazing shades to select from. That's the most impressive thing for a drugstore foundation, to come out with so many shades and done correctly. Because a lot of brands lately, I feel like they're going on this movement of wanting to come out with 50, 60 I don't know how many shades of foundation, but have they really put in the work and the research to get those foundations right? And we come in all different shades, okay? We have different undertones, very yellow undertone, red undertones, neutral, cool. There's just so much diversity within our shade. And when brands really pay attention to that and work these shades properly, that's what impresses me. Not so much the number, but also the quality of the product that you're putting out. And I believe with Covergirl, they nailed it, because when you look at the shade range, and I have seen swatches, I have been to Walmart and swatched them myself, the undertones or the foundations are done really, really beautifully. And even the ones that have more of like a red undertone, they're not that obnoxious red where it almost looks like a corrector. It is done really, really well. And even with my shade, yellow undertone, sometimes when companies try to do yellow undertones, it comes off so yellow. It's almost like a sick yellow. It makes you look very pale and just not flattering, and you kind of have to go in with your bronzer and your concealer and try to fix it up. This one is done to perfection. It's super weightless on the skin. I don't feel this foundation whatsoever. Even though the coverage is there, it feels really comfortable, really weightless, and it looks that way. Like, I am looking at my skin right now, and I put how many, like 3 pumps of this foundation, and my skin still looks absolutely fabulous. It doesn't look heavy, it doesn't look cakey, it looks like skin. Like, it has the texture of skin. I definitely feel like I have to set this foundation with a powder, especially around my smile lines, or I start to kind of crease a little bit. That's kind of normal for me with a lot of foundations. Some I can get away with, but I would definitely set this one. But overall, it is a really, really long lasting foundation. Like, you can wear this for hours and hours and it will not break apart, it will not become patchy, it will not start to fade away, and all of your other products on top of it will also last really, really well. I do have to blot a little bit around my T-zone area, and that's kind of normal for everyone, especially in the summertime. Winter, not so much. Summertime, definitely have to blot it around my nose area. Now, I don't get excessively oily. It's just like that natural shine, and I could get away with it looking dewy, but I rather kind of blot that area so that the foundation continues to stay and look fresh throughout the day. Once this foundation sets, it's definitely a matte. It's not like a flat matte. It does have dimension on the skin, which I love, that kind of matte foundation where I still see my natural shadows, my natural glow on the skin. There's so many different foundations at the drugstore right now. I mean, every brand has a foundation, and this video is not sponsored whatsoever. They probably don't even know that I'm filming this. I'm just really impressed because of its texture and the way it sits on the skin. I would definitely recommend it to all skin types. I would just say it's all about how you're gonna prep your skin. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't have anything else to say but great things, and definitely let me know your thoughts on this foundation. If you have any video requests, leave it down in the comment section. I'm gonna be putting out about 34 videos a week. Okay, so brace yourself and get ready for all the content. I hope you guys are enjoying the quality of this video. It's a little bit different, and I think it's more sharper. I'm always trying to put out the best videos ever, but I've been struggling with lighting and just like correcting the lighting because it's been so off. But thank you for your patience, and thank you for still showing love to these videos. So let me know your comments down below and your video requests, and just chat with me in the comments section, and I will see you guys on the next video. Ciao.